You're listening to the Grading Doane podcast, brought to you by the 2019 Journalism Capstone class. Hello, and thank you for joining us for the Grading Doane podcast, or I guess right now it's the Grading Doane radio program. My name's C.J. Keene, and I am joined by the wonderful partners in crime,
Trey Perry.
And Clayton Anderson. What's going on, guys? Hopefully you enjoy what we got in store for you.
I'm excited to talk to Russ Hewitt, Director of Safety here at Doane. He should be calling here in the next minute or two.
Absolutely.
Just for a little background, this is part, like the promo said, like the intro said, this is part of our senior capstone project, Grading Doane, and so we'll be given a comprehensive grade at Doane at the end of the semester. So right now we're looking at specific areas and giving them a grade first, and this week is crime and safety. So
That's right. Russ Hewitt will be on the phone here shortly, but you can read the first of, or I guess not the first, this is the second week of stories on doaneline.com. But just background on what we'll be discussing with Mr. Hewitt here. The big story is how well Doane is ranked for safety. A lot of good statistics compared to other schools. We looked at a lot of different schools like Coe College and Luther College in particular for this story, but there are other schools. The other peer institutions include Rockhurst and Buena Vista and other similarly sized regional schools.
we've looked at the schools like CJ said, and then we compiled a rubric for each category based on the stats that we found about those schools. So how their student life is compared to Doane's, how their academics are. This week, crime and safety. We did diversity and cost last week.
And that is our phone call.
This is Russ, so let's get him on the air.
Hello, Russ. Can you hear us?
Yep, this is Russ.
It's good to talk to you. How are you today?
I'm doing just fine.
That's good to hear. So let's just get right into it. Do you guys have anything that you want to ask?
Well, just first off, thanks for joining us, Russ. We're going to talk to you about crime and safety on the air for the folks listening. So I guess my first question is just, in general, what sets Doane's safety apart from other schools that could be considered peer schools to us?
I do believe that Doane, in particular, in the last 8 to 9 years, has made a huge investment in safety and security. Really, if you turn back the hands of time and go back to about 2010, somewhere around there, before most of you and our students were before all of you were here, you really could have gone to any building on campus. The doors would have been unlocked till all hours of the night. Just the presence of security really wasn't there. Really, a lot of that was being covered by the residents' life staff. So what I really think is over this amount of time, Doane has really dedicated those resources to bring in things like keyless entry. Video surveillance in the parking lots, bringing on a full-time staff, giving us the resources that allows us to have, a 24/7, presence. Plus making resources, available for the staff, which allows you to bring in, professional quality safety administrators and other people who facilitate all the hours that were available to the campus.
Right.
So in that way, in comparison, when I'm talking with other schools or when I have, because a lot of times there's a lot of networking, and schools are competitive, but when it comes to security and safety departments and other areas, there's a lot of networking that goes on, and frequently what I'll hear when I talk with other institutions, it really has to do with the knowledge base of the people we have. We're very lucky in a lot of cases to keep our safety administrators around for as long as as they can be here, because a lot of times those positions you have transitional professionals.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, just as far as, like I said, those technological resources that we have, our emergency alert system, the keyless access to surveillance. We have some people that come in and go, wow, you guys really have, quite a bit. And that you focus on keeping it, updated.
Russ, you were talking about back in like 2010, with not having the safety measures anywhere close to what it is now. Can you talk about kind of what that process was like. I mean, that's not that long ago, and how safety has expanded to what it is now, and how that's really helped the institution, in your opinion.
Right. Well, you got to, keep this in mind, and probably a lot of institutions, back prior to, mid 2007, you had a lot of colleges and universities that, in particular, I will say, smaller institutions in small towns that thought, things just don't happen here, So do we really want to invest in cameras, or should we be investing in, a new microscope or a new this or a new that? And it's a shame that this has to happen, but definitely Virginia Tech, the massacre there was a kind of a watershed moment for a lot of institutions, where suddenly the same people that were like, oh, we don't need cameras, we don't need security walking around here all the time, they were automatically the next day going, what are we going to do? What resources do we have? How are we going to protect people here? So we had to come up with a plan, and it took the institution, a year or more to because doing it the way Doane does, we wanted to know what our students thought. We wanted to know what our faculty thought. We wanted to know what our staff thought. We wanted to know what our alumni thought, so that whatever we incorporated here, whatever we built, was based on the needs of the community. And I tell you, I have a military and law enforcement background, so what I might have seen, if you were just asking Russ for his opinion on what we needed to do, it might be vastly different from what a first-year student thought we needed to do, or what a parent thought we needed to do. So we're much better off, and what you see today is based on input from all kinds of community members saying, from where I stand, this is a need for the institution.
Russ, you mentioned that the community is such a big aspect to what keeps Doane such a safe campus, and even one of the students that I spoke to in regards to the story said that the community is the reason why she feels so safe on campus. What is it that Doane Safety does to promote that kind of community on campus?
Well, I probably wouldn't articulate it that Doane Safety is doing it. Doane Safety, and I'm probably going to regret saying this. We're a tool, right, that can be used. We're part of a multiple tools that are used at times to build what the community wants from its safety and security resources. So, what we do primarily is we are the eyes and ears of the campus. We're related to safety and security issues. We make sure that there is a central location on campus where people can come to report those issues. We collect that information in a database. So a lot of times when I talk about, where do we need to provide, resources? Where it isn't like we have unlimited budget, et cetera. So we need to decide, let's say, where are we going to put a camera? Well, it makes sense, based on community members being willing to report, that we go and look at those reports and find out, well, where are we having the most incidents of, hit and run to vehicles or vandalism or things like that. And then let's go ahead and apply the resources in the area where the community is reporting they have a need. I can tell you our keyless entry doors, other than the external doors that we've tried to focus on so we can get to a point where we can, lock down or lock out the campus, those interior doors almost that we put keyless entry on, almost all of them have been based on community need. Where do we, instead of checking out keys, can we put a keyless entry door on and make it a lot easier for students to come and go? And we've kind of got a priority list, budget pending, that we can, add to that system. So we're just one aspect. And again, the best thing we do is we provide a centralized place for people to come and say, hey, I've got a concern. And then we turn around and take that information and turn it into either actions related to safety and security, i.e. adding patrols or adding a camera, or we tie our department with other departments. You got to reach out to student affairs because it's a student-related issue that we've become aware of. Or we're reaching out to facilities to say, oh, wait, this is something that facilities can help with. Or technology, oh, wait, this is an issue that I understand is safety-related, but IT could maybe tie into it. So it's academic affairs, same thing. So I think the best thing we provide is just a hub where people can go. And then probably the other part to that is we're 24/7, right, on the Creek campus. They're really, residence life can be contacted 24/7. Facilities has an on-call number. but we have somebody actively patrolling the campus 24/7, and that just makes us a great resource, whether you're trying to report a crime or whether you forgot where the best place to eat in town is, or you need a place to stay. We get a lot of calls after hours where people are just looking for a little bit of direction.
So, Russ, I know when we spoke last week, you stressed the importance of reporting crimes to safety and having a community that's comfortable enough to report to safety officers. So, for our last question here, just briefly, if you could share some of students' options for reporting things that happen to them on campus.
Okay. Well, it's multifaceted, and I would let people know this. Another reason why we're so probably successful on this campus, and I'm talking the campus as a whole, not the public safety office, is that it's not just the public safety office that people can report to. Obviously, student affairs have connections with students, and we get a lot of reports through them and through our residence life staff. There's a lot of response mechanisms on campus, whether that be through our sexual violence grant and the people and Susanna associated with that, whether it be Dennis in Title IX, whether it be our counselors, whether it be the academic support staff. We're really lucky to have a campus where we have a lot of trusted agents on campus that work in a lot of different departments, and students, faculty, staff. There's just a lot of people they can go to that they feel comfortable, and they can say, hey, something happened. And I usually try and tell people, don't worry about the definition, but if you have a community member saying, I just don't feel comfortable, well, then let's talk about it. We've had things voiced to us in the safety office before. Maybe they weren't crime related, but maybe they were definitely something that Becky and academic affairs could help out with. And what we do is help funnel that information there. Same thing, she's had people, as an example, come to her and report something that she's like, oh, wait, this is something public safety needs to deal with. And so she funneled that information up to us. So I think it's that, kind of connectivity on campus. And again, that's the benefit of a small campus like ours, where everyone knows each other, people care about people that are in distress, and they want to help them resolve their issue. So, like the question that you stated, we need that information, whether big or small. I think some people sometimes try and talk themselves into, well, it's got to be a big issue before I call public safety or before I call the police department, which is another aspect. We have an amazing police department there in Crete. We have a great rural fire department. So we have a lot of resources, but we don't always have to wait until it's a major issue to report. Just the small things, something was, damaged that might not be of high value. Something went missing. Something that just kind of looked out of the ordinary. Maybe it was a suspicious person. Maybe it was a suspicious item. People taking the time to report something that may not affect them, but they care enough to let everybody else know, so that maybe it helps out someone else, someone that they might not even know. So hopefully that answers your question.
It absolutely does. Public Safety Director Russ Hewitt, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Hope you have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Russ. The final grade that we gave safety for Doane in this last issue and over this last week, I believe, was a B+.
Was a B+.
And I think that's pretty fair. I think Doane does do a pretty good job with safety. Obviously, like Russ said, there's always stuff to work on. Nobody's going to be perfect, but generally, and from the video we put out on Doane Line 2, students seem to think that it's a pretty safe campus. So.
Yeah, I bet Russ wish he could do some extra credits around that score up to an A. So that classic email you send the professors asking if you can do a little extra credit at the end of the semester. But yeah, nonetheless, very good score for Doane Safety. I think it is a very safe campus, and Russ just filled with an abundance of information, made it very easy on us, and it was really interesting to hear just how much kind of different things go on behind the scenes in safety that you don't necessarily always see.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us for the first edition.
Yeah, thank you guys. We will be back next week. We have location and then student life next week. So we're going to try to get Carrie Petter, who's the vice president of student life, in here. So she'll give a good opinion. on the stuff that's available for students here at Doane compared to other schools. So make sure you tune into that. Watch out for Doane Line announcements and Doane Student Media social media, because that's where we'll announce the time and day. So we'll see you then.
Grading Doane, the 2019 Senior Capstone for Journalism. This is the Grading Doane podcast. My name is C.J. Keene.
And I'm Trey Perry.
Clayton Anderson.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week. You're listening to the Grading Doane podcast, brought to you by the 2019 Journalism Capstone class.